Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video. In this video we're going to be talking about what type of tools I use when I draw. Ignore the cat. Basically you can see here is a layout of many of what I use. This is a good example of the spread of instruments I use when I do a drawing. I tend to be tool heavy. A lot of people don't use so many different tools. I'm kind of a snob when it comes to what tool I use for what, so I tend to have quite the selection. I don't expect anybody to have a selection this large. I don't know anybody else that actually uses as many as I do, but I've been gathering my equipment for many years now, ever since I've been drawing as a child. Pretty much whenever I find something on sale or I think it's neat, I'll just buy it to use it, to try it out. Sometimes they work out, sometimes they don't. Pretty much everything on the table here you see is tools that, these are tools that I do use on a regular basis. From the left to right, you'll see that I have everything from erasers to pencils to mechanical pencils to pens, felt tip. I've got technical pens. I've got different choices of ink. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get up closer there and have everybody take a look at what I use, and I'll talk about each one. Okay, here are examples of the tools that I use when I work. We'll start off over here with the cleanup. This is erasers, of course. I like the pencil style erasers here. They work out really nicely to get into tight areas. This one's really nice. It has a triangular cross section to it, and helps really nice to get into corners. I also have two different compositions here. The white is the soft, and the triangle one's also soft. The green is actually a harder eraser. It's good for getting the darker lines, or if I have a little bit of an ink smudge that's still kind of fresh, I can pick it up with that. The eraser I probably use the absolute most is the Staedtler Mars Plastic. I've got it here in two different sizes. You can see I use it quite a bit. It's worn down pretty much to a nub there. Staedtler is real good for general purpose erasing. It's not too hard, not too soft. It's softer than a pink eraser, but it's still hard enough to get pretty much anything any pencil lines or any kind off of most surfaces. This here is a little white eraser, sort of like I guess it looked like a pink eraser when it first, those pink chisel style when it first started. I kind of liked it. It was run down to a nub by now, but to be honest, it's no better than the Staedtler. I just happened to like it at the time. The Magic Rub and Artist Loft erasers here are basically two different consistencies of the, similar to the Art Gum eraser. They're really good, very soft, and really good for picking up pencil lines after you've done inking. They're real good for erasing over that, getting the pencil line and everything up after inking's been done. They're also good for cleaning up the paper. If you have a dirt smudge or some kind of smudge got on your paper, the Art Gum erasers are really good for that. This black eraser here I got from Target or Walmart, someplace like that. It's just a hard rubber eraser. They're selling for school kids and college students or whatever, just regular work. I actually really like this eraser. It's got the nice round shape, helps me control it. The chisel end on it gives a really nice, able to get into deep, tight areas. And the hardness of the eraser is actually very good for getting darker lines and everything up as well. It's good for cleaning. The yellow eraser here is for ink. This is actually, it was marked as an ink eraser when I first bought it. I haven't used it all that much because you don't tend to erase much ink. But this one here, it's a very hard eraser. It's also got kind of a bit of an abrasive quality to it. It's really good if you need to lighten up a line whenever I have a line that I put down that I decide I don't want. I end up using this eraser to lighten up any ink lines. I'm pretty much doing a lot of my editing now digitally, so I don't really need that so much anymore. Eraser shields. For the type of work I do, an eraser shield is absolutely necessary. To get into the tight areas, tight corners, if you have the tip of a line that's almost touching another line, if you have a line among a bunch of other really tight areas, anything like that, eraser shields are fantastic. I actually have several of these. I've never worn one out, but I have extra just in case. But an eraser shield is fantastic because all you need to do is put the holes on the eraser shield over the area that you want to erase, and then you just take any size of eraser at all, and you can sit there and go over just like over that, and it'll only erase what's uncovered and protect everything else. It shields everything else. The good thing with this is, you can use big erasers on it. You can sit here and use little pencil erasers to get into like the little circles. These come in so handy for me. There is no really one purpose for any of these holes. They're just different shapes so that you can do different styles, get into different areas. I kind of like the teardrop ones because you can really get into tight areas down here in the tips, but still have enough room up here to erase. Good thing to have. The brush. This is a Staedtler brush. Comes in very handy, and everybody should have a brush. Or at least something other than your hand to wipe off eraser shavings, dirt, anything that would get onto your drawing. Always use a brush. If you use your hand, what you're going to do is the eraser shavings that are covered in graphite, you're going to grind that graphite right back onto your paper. If your hands have some dirt on them, you're going to grind that dirt into the paper. Your hands have natural oils. Your skin is naturally oily anyways. You wipe your hand across your paper, you're getting that oil all over your paper. So always use a brush. Brushes are absolutely necessary when it comes to drawing. In my opinion, every artist should have one of these. Or something similar, a piece of cloth, something soft, something very soft that you don't put a lot of pressure on your surface when you're wiping it off. This here is part of my preparation setup over here. This is a sandpaper pad. It's just a fine sandpaper. It comes with multiple layers. I've actually had this for years. I don't use it all that often, but it comes good if you ever need to cut back a pencil lead quite a ways back and then shape the pencil lead. The soft sandpaper here. This is kind of fancy because it's actually on a wooden background. You could actually just use any really fine fine grit sandpaper to do the job. Mars drafting dots. Staedtler Mars drafting dots. These things are amazing. I love these little things. I have boxes and boxes of these. Basically what they are is they're little masking tape dots. Little circles, and they're used for holding down the corners of your drawing. The type of drawing I do requires having the drawing at least mounted to the table for a portion of the time, because if I'm using my rulers, my triangles, I'm trying to get my angles perfectly right, I'm doing a lot of technical drawing, you need to have your paper stable. You can't have it just shifting around like you would do for comic book art or other things like that. So in drafting dots, they're fantastic. The round shape of them makes them really easy to peel off. They've got the adhesive on it is done just right, so when you peel them off, they don't rip your paper. I've tried normal masking tape before, and masking tape will rip the corners right off of your paper. So the drafting dots are about the best I've found. If you're able to find a nice drafting tape specifically advertised for drafting, this comes in handy. It's considerably cheaper than the drafting dots. The drafting dots you're paying extra for the special shape and everything. But a nice drafting tape, masking tape, is not your standard masking tape. It's not going to be something that you can buy just anywhere. You need to actually look for one that's advertised for artists, because the tackiness of them is set so it won't rip the paper when you pull them off. The next step I do after going over this, the first step I do when I draw is penciling. I don't pretty much know anybody who doesn't. Penciling is, I've got a heck of a choice of pencils. My favorites probably for sketching are my lead holders here. Lead holders are basically, they're like a mechanical pencil, but they take a 2mm lead that you push in the bottom here, the tip comes out, and you push the lead inside. And these come in, these are fantastic because you don't ever have to worry about the wood getting in the way. Whenever they get worn down, you just push the lead out a little further like a mechanical pencil. To sharpen these, they have a special sharpener. It's got an abrasive little thing in the center here. You just, the little holes up here on the side show you this is a blunt tip, this is a sharp tip. Personally, I think the blunt tip one gets sharp enough. So you just use the hole as a guide. You push it in until the lead stops, and then you feed it in down until it does that, and it helps you set the depth. The sharp tip will stick it out even further. But then you just put pencil in there, get inside there, and you just turn. So it works out. And you get a perfect sharp tip every time. I love these things. The blue, non-reproducible blue, is what I use for most of my layouts. The non-repro blue comes in handy, especially when you're scanning things in. You can set it up so the blue doesn't show up at all with your scanner. That way I can sketch as sloppy as I want and never have to worry about erasing it later. I just go over it with pencil and then ink later on and leave the blue behind. When I scan it into the computer, the blue doesn't show up anyways, so I don't have to worry about it. I also have two different hardnesses here. My white pen, you'll notice I have different colors here so I can tell what they are at a glance. The white one here, the white pencil, is this is a 6H. This is a very hard lead. Draws very light. I use this one for sketching as well. And this is my HB. This is my soft lead. This one gives a nice dark line without a lot of pressure. Anybody that's an artist knows the difference between leads. These little pads here, I don't even remember where I got them. I got them from some kind of drafting store or something at one time. Basically, they give a little extra bulk to the pencil. Pens and pencils, whatever I have them on. It gives them a little extra bulk, helps me grab. My hands tend to be kind of large, and having the extra room and the padding is nice on some of these. Mechanical pencils are what I use almost exclusively once I'm actually drawing. I have a really nice set here. These are Draftmatic. These are Alvins. And you can still buy these. These are fantastic. I bought them everywhere. This is 0.03, 0.05, or excuse me, 0.3, 0.5, 0.7, and 0.9s. Different sizes here, so depending on what kind of line I'm drawing. Once again, I do technical art. My art's mostly technical line art, so I tend to draw with the pencil straight up and down rather than like most of your artists do for shading and stuff to the side. Most of my work tends to be very precise, very particular for what I'm doing. So the mechanical pencils work excellent for me. I also have some older ones here that I had. They still work pretty good, but I just like the feel of these. The knurled tips on them are really nice. I have a 1mm pencil lead for if I need something a little thinner than the lead holders. And just all these different pencils all have different grades of lead in them depending on what I'm using them for. This is the lead replacement for the 1mm. The lead holders, they come in packages like this for extra leads. The blue I use a lot of, and then I have my other leads divided here. I think it's hard on this side and soft on that side on that one. These down here, these are blending sticks, the rolled paper blending sticks. Now, I've recently watched a tutorial where a fine artist mentioned that using blending sticks is what amateurs do. Something I've learned is that no two artists use the same style. I have to disagree with him when he used the word amateur. But what he was doing was fine art. His was some very nice penciling and stuff. It was absolutely amazing the work he was doing. But for the type of stuff I do, a blending stick works wonderfully. You're not an amateur using a blending stick. I had to disagree with him there. But once again, every artist has their own style. Normal pencils. I use normal pencils for whenever I need to do something that just needs to be a little sloppier, I need something with an edge to it. The lead holders are nice because you can actually stick the lead out a distance without having to shave back your pencil lead wood every time it wears down. You can actually pull them out of the lead holder as far as you need them to be. You can shape them with the sandpaper and get the feel you need for them. Wood pencils I still use, though. Occasionally you just want to use a wood pencil. One thing I do is I always buy extra erasers for these. I buy the aftermarket erasers. I buy the ones that you can put on there. I tend to wear the tips down. This one still has an eraser on it, but I tend to wear the erasers down to nothing. So, before my pencil's ever any good, but before my pencil's gone. So I tend to need an extra eraser. I do a lot of erasing. And then I also have different hardnesses. This one here, I believe, is a 2H. Oh, it's 2H. I have a 4H, 6H. I go different lead hardnesses with the pencils as well. Let's see here. The replacement leads for the mechanical pencils, you see I have a selection. I found a place that was going out of business, and they gave me a great deal. I think I paid 99 cents for this entire box of 6H leads. If you look around at old printers and places like that, especially the mom and pop places, sometimes they'll have a lot of old drafting supplies that they're giving away next to nothing. I have different hardnesses of leads here for the different mechanical pencils. And let's see, sharpener. Yeah, so that's about it. I'm going to reposition the camera here. Excuse me, so I can give you the view of what else I have here. All right. Now, the other tools I use, pretty much I go from penciling to, after I do the blue, then I go to the normal pencil to finalize the lines, then I go to inking. Inking, I like mechanical pens, the technical pens. A lot of people doing manga art, comic book art stuff are using the felt tips. The felt tips, these microns are fantastic. I've got this other brand here. I don't know where I even got these. I even have a set of pens these are ballpoint. They come in very, very fine tips too, but they're ballpoint. I haven't used these much, but they're kind of nice for whenever the situation comes. My Pelicans, excuse me, sorry, off the screen there. The Pelicans that I bought, this was my first set of felt tip pens that I ever tried. I basically bought the least expensive I could find just to try out felt tip. I was so used to using technical pens that I'd never tried the felt tip before, and I decided to give them a try. Now, the benefit of the felt tip is they are considerably less expensive and a lot less work and there's a lot less maintenance than using technical pens. For me, though, technical pens, the precision of the technical pen is what I usually go for. The felt tip pens I do use definitely. In fact, even just your standard Sharpies, they come in different size tips. These white ones tend to flow a lot faster than these little ones here. They come in different colors. Here's a Stadler that I bought. This one here is actually a barrel with replacement felt tip cartridges. But even just any normal felt tip pen, depending on the type of art you do, felt tip pens are fantastic. They're cheap, low maintenance. I love them. But the type of art I do, I need a very crisp, very precise line. And I ended up going with technical pens. If you've never messed with technical pens, they're kind of a pain. You have to open them up. You have to fill them with ink. When you're done, you can't let them sit. You have to actually clean them. before putting them away. Otherwise, the ink hardens on the inside and clogs them up, and especially the smaller ones, you'll never get them clean again. You have to throw away the tip and buy a replacement tip. I originally started out with the Rapidographs, the Koh-i-Noors. The Rapidographs are really good pens. I used these for many, many years. The biggest problem I had with the Rapidograph is getting them started and keeping the flow consistent all the time. Rapidographs are really good. I can't say anything bad about them. They are just really good pens. I had these for many, many years. But what I did find is a better pen, and many artists use the Rapidograph. Rapidographs are almost standard. Yeah, whenever you see an artist mention technical pen, they'll say the word Rapidograph. What I found to be a better pen for me is the Mars Maddox, the Staedtler Mars Maddox. The Staedtler Mars Maddox are made in Germany, and they are really a fantastic pen. Of the technical pens I've used, these are by far the best. They flow really easy, they get started really easy, they stay flowing really easy, they don't clog easily, and just overall, I just like the Mars Maddox are better for my uses. I actually bought couple different sets of them. These are getting hard to find now, so what I do is I go on eBay and I'll purchase them, sometimes used. Try not to get the used ones because you don't know what the person did with them before. But if they show pictures of the pens with the barrels opened up and show you that they are clean and everything, then you probably don't have to worry about them. The tips, the replacement tips, are available still. You can buy the replacement tips. Once again, I got mine off eBay, and then I found a couple places else that sell them. Usually they're in Europe, though. But I always buy, especially the smaller tips, the 0.25s, the 0.18s. Those are the sizes I use a lot, and I tend to wear them out. I tend to bend them. I drop a pen, it lands on the tip. That just always irks me. So I have a lot of extra replacement tips, so that eventually, if the worst happens and they stop selling technical pens because everybody's going digital, I'll actually still have plenty of replacements. Different types of inks available. There's your normal India ink. That one's leaking. You have your normal India inks. This one here is a brown that I got, and what I did with this is to give it I didn't want to use brown ink, so what I did was I took this brown ink and I added some black to it, some black India to it, and it actually makes a nice color for the type of drawing I do. This here, the Transmix Media, brilliant ink. This one here is absolutely amazing. It gives, talk about a dark, crisp line. This one's by Koh-i-Noor, just like the Rapidograph's Koh-i-Noor. This ink here is just fantastic. It does a nice, crisp line. If you're looking for something like for precision, crisp lines, that's a good one. I have blue here. You know what, to be honest, I don't think I've ever used it. It's not hardened yet, so it's still good ink. The good thing about the Mars Maddox, the Staedtlers, is that not only can you fill them normally in the reservoir like a normal ink pen, but they also come with these. These are pre-filled cartridges that you can put in the pen. And so if you don't want to mess with refilling manually the cartridge in the pen, you can, the ink reservoir, you can just buy these and plug them in, twist the pin cap on, it punctures the seal, and you've got a working pen until this runs out. The drawback to these is they are a little bit more expensive than going the standard ink route. The benefit is it's a little less work for cleanup. And I think these actually start better too, but once again, the Mars Maddox works so well for starting that I don't need these. I bought these because they were available. I think I got them at the same time I bought the pencil leads from the same place. They were just too cheap to pass up. The next thing we have is repair. Whiteout, I tend to use just whiteout. You can use any kind of opaque white paint as well. I don't tend to do a lot of correcting, but I have whiteout just in case I need to. Now that I'm going a lot more digital, though, I can do most of my correcting in the computer. The only reason I would use to correct like that is if there's a spot I messed up that I know I'm just not going to remember to fix later, I'll touch it up with that so that when later I don't forget it and the finished piece doesn't end up having the messed up parts. The technical pen maintenance. I have an ultrasonic cleaner concentrate here. It goes in my ultrasonic cleaner. I have another pen cleaner here. It's good for breaking up. They have a couple solvents here. They're really good for technical pens, especially because technical pens are not very forgiving if they get dried ink inside them. This here is a little bulb plunger. What you do is you hook this up. You can put the pen in nose first here, or the actual backs of the pens will thread in here. And you can actually force air, or you can fill this with water and force water through the pen as well. And it works really good to get them clean. Another thing I got is this doohickey. This is a jewelry cleaner, ultrasonic jewelry cleaner. They used to sell the ultrasonic cleaners specifically for the pens. I really wish they still did. I wasn't able to get one back when they had them available. They were just way too expensive. But now you can't find them anywhere. So what I ended up doing is I went to a normal, I think I got this at Walmart. And all this is it's a jewelry cleaner. You put your jewelry in here, you fill it with the solvent or water, whatever. You turn it on, it sits there and vibrates the heck out of it until they're clean. I use this for my pen nibs. Take the pens, drop the nibs in there after you've flushed them with water and everything, get all the extra ink out of them. Put them in here, turn it on, let it run for a while, and it's good for breaking up any hardness or anything. Keeps your pens going a lot longer. Colored pencils and pens. I don't use color a lot. Color is more, for me, I do black and white artwork, but I use color for you'll see in some of my pictures that I post that they're just sketches. They're really roughed out maps, things like that, and they do use color. And I use color more for taking notes, for setting up a map, everything, but color is never used on a final product of mine. I do plan on eventually using color, probably. I like color, but I just never got into using it. Just black and white, sort of my thing. These are actually Singer. These are for marking cloth for when you're sewing, but they came in white and blue. I liked them. I actually have colored technical pencils, mechanical pencil leads. I actually got some in color. Your normal Crayola colored pencils work out good for me. Once again, I'm not real picky with my the quality of stuff I use. Crayola does all right. What name? Bristol. I forget the name of them. Start with a B. But those are really good pencils. Those are probably the best you can get for colored pencils. Whoever does color out there will know what I'm talking about. The pens, I just bought these. These are standard Sharpies right here. They just came in a colored set. I figured grab them. You know, never know if you need them. These pens here, they sold, I think, at Staples is where I bought these. These were neat because the plastic is actually recycled soda bottles. Recycled plastic from soda bottles and stuff. So I thought that was kind of clever. So I bought those. They came in different colors. They're just standard ballpoints. But they do write very well. They're very nice pens to use. I actually have the black one out. Oh, wait, there's the black one. I have the blue one out that I'm using to actually write my checks and stuff with. The Micron pens you'll see a lot of artists use, and I don't blame them. These are really good pens. They come in all the different size tips, and they flow really well. They're just really good pens. This here is a colored set. Once again, for the same reason I have basically I have a redundancy here in case I ever need to. I'm kind of crazy when I go into an office supplies store. I just love having them. But I also have them here in black, and these are the ones that I use a little bit. I gotta admit, I need to get a better set of these, a more complete set of these. These are really nice felt tips. I'm starting to get to the point where I'm getting kind of spoiled with felt tips, and I'll resort to felt tip more than I will the technical pens with some of my work. It's the technical pens I save particularly for if I need something extremely precise. And, oh, one thing you can never forget, napkins. If you're using ink in particular, not only are napkins good to put your hand down on, I'm right-handed, put your hand down on while you're drawing. You know, you have one napkin out, you'll put it down to protect your paper from your hand, but they come in handy for cleaning your tips. The technical pens in particular, you take the cap off, there'll be a glob of ink on the end. You just set it down there and give it a little twist, and it'll clean the tip of your pen off. If your colored pens or your regular pens get a little bit of graphite on them, just give it a rub on the napkin and it'll wipe it clean pretty nicely. All right, well, this has been a bit longer than I expected it to be, but that's pretty much it. Once again, I'm kind of crazy when it comes to my tools. I have a lot. Believe it or not, this is not all. I'm gonna take a break here, set up the table, and I'm gonna show you what other things I use. Catch you in a minute.